Good morning, welcome to Furry and Spoilt. Today I'm going to talk to you about living with a 10-year-old dog. So my little Albert at the back there, he's my 10-year-old. I've got Humps here. We have absolutely no idea how old he is. I think he's about 12, but we don't know. We have no idea. And my little pickle boy, he is 7. Albert over there I think is really deceptive, because if you watch my videos a lot, you will see that this tends to be his spot, and that's pretty much what he does most of my videos. But actually, that is because I record my videos just after we've got back from our walk. And so he's just tired. But actually, he's my cheekiest boy by far. He's the one who I have to have eyes in the back of my head with. He's got a thing about toilet rolls. If you leave a bathroom door open, he will be in there stealing the toilet roll. So we have to take the toilet roll off the holder and put it up high, because he'll notice you've left the door open and he'll go in there to see if the toilet roll's still on there, and then he drags it all through the house. So, you really have to have eyes in the back of your head. Bins, if you leave a bin without the lid on it ever, he's in it. He's by far my cheekiest boy, and like when we're out and about and people who know him, he is by far the cheekiest. He's the one who has to have, he wants all the attention. He gets right in there, and whether people want it or not, and right old give him a right old cuddle, and he's by far my cheekiest boy. But my videos don't give that impression, because you pretty much see him doing this in the mall. But that's just the timing. We've just got back from our walk. So, talking about walks, so I still obviously walk him every day, and on our walks he's actually very active when we're out. What I found with him is that he's still active on our walks, but then he's more sleepy when we're not out. I only walk them once a day now, so when they were all younger I used to walk them twice a day, but I've taken that down to once a day. So we're out in the morning, so I walk them in the morning, and we're out for about 45 minutes to an hour, but the pace is so much slower than it used to be, and there's a lot of sitting around watching the world go by. If we see somebody, we'll know. I'm quite happy to stand and have a chat for 10-15 minutes. He loves meeting people, so he's happy to say hello to them. So we're out, but it's not like before when they were younger. We would be out for like an hour and it would be fast paced, all up around the fields and all of that. That isn't anymore, and I really feel that it would be cruel, really cruel, to expect him to be able to do that now. He wouldn't be able to do it. Although he does look, pretty active when we're out, but we haven't walked miles and miles. We actually don't go that far, really. But he does look he looks active, but we haven't gone so far, and so he's not really tired. And I think that's quite an important point. I think the age gap between dogs would really start to show at this point. So Harry is 7, and so that there was a 4-year age gap between them when we got when we had different dogs and stuff. And actually that's fine, because at 7, although he is more active, he's off the lead and he's doing different. He'll be off the lead and he'll be running in circles around us, and I'll be throwing things for him. So he just has a more active walk, but he's quite happy with the fact that we don't go all over the fields and stuff so much anymore. I do take them to, so we have, here it's not like America where you have dog parks. It's the same sort of setup as a dog park, but you pay £10 for an hour, and you just get the park. It's just you, no other dogs, just you. And so you'll see in my videos we regularly take them to them, so they're all off the lead, and that gives Harry a chance to have a good old run around that he needs. But these two can just plod around slowly at their own pace. But he is still, able to do his walks, happy to do them, fit and healthy on walks. But I've just taken him down to 1. And if the weather is hot, with all dogs, with any of my dogs, if the weather's hot, I get them out earlier. I never ever walk them in the heat, ever. It's just not worth it. I'm not going to go on about this in this video, but a dog can be fine 1 minute and then organ failure the next minute, because they just can't cool themselves down. If you're new to dog ownership, please Google that, dogs and heat stroke, and just so you understand it yourself, because it's happens so quickly and it's so horrific and often causes death. So please, if you don't know about heat stroke in dogs, Google it and learn yourself. I have done videos about it, but I always think it's better. I always see my channel as more of a reminder sort of to make you think, oh, is that a thing? And then what I really want you to do is go and Google it, so you know for yourself that you saw with your own eyes that that is a thing. And so that's where I'm at with heat stroke. Go and Google dogs and heat stroke, and so you can educate yourself on that level. Right, so also I do still do training with him. I train with my boys every day, and I do it for two reasons. I do it so that they're trained, so that when we're out and about, they're trained. But I also do it to keep their mind going, because to them it's just play. It's just a form of playing, and so I do it to keep their mind active. And so so my little Albert is a little bit different because he actually has learning difficulties. I keep saying it and I never do it. I keep saying I'm going to do a video about it, and there's always so much other stuff I want to talk about. But he's got learning difficulties, so he does not do training to the same standard that these do. Humps here is such a clever dog. His training is he's really impressive, and Pickle Boy, he's really impressive as well. He's very much a sniffer and using his nose and for hunting things out and trailing and all that sort of stuff. But before I had these dogs, I trained German Shepherds to work with disabled people, and Humps is right up there with that level. He really, and I think that's why he had such a hard time in the abusive, how he suffered so much abuse before he got to us, horrific abuse. And I think it's why it hit him so bad, because he's so clever that he knew what was happening, which just breaks my heart. So I do still, but Albert is definitely involved in the training. But while these two will be doing all their fancy things, and it'll be quite complicated and fancy, he'll just be doing the very basics. He only really knows 2 commands, bless his little heart. And sometimes he's not actually doing any commands. I'm just giving him the treats and he's not actually doing any commands. But if you've got a dog who doesn't have learning difficulties, at 10 years old, they definitely would still enjoy a training session. But again, just be aware that they're getting that bit older, and so maybe just be aware that they're going to be, a bit more tired after it. But training for dogs is superb because it just uses their brain. All dogs, all ages. It just uses their brain so much. It's really, really, really good for a dog. If you want a tired dog, yeah, sure, take them for a walk, but more importantly, train them, use their brain, because walking, all you're going to do is get them fitter and fitter, and they're going to need more and more walking. But if you train them, if you make them use their brain, that just tires them right out. It's a great thing to do. Let me show you this slope. So he is still, like I said, pretty active, mobile. We don't have any problems with that. But sometimes if it's towards the end of the day, he was asking to be picked up onto the sofa. So what I did was I got this slope. And when I researched it, what they said was that if you can get a version of this, but it's steps. So it's still made out of the spongy stuff. So if that's just soft spongy stuff, and so it's still made out of that, but it's steps. But I read when I was researching it that that's not very good for dogs' backs. I don't know, just the way, I don't really understand why, but going up the steps on the spongy thing is not very good for their backs. The slope is better. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I thought, well, I can get the slope. It makes no difference to me, so why risk it? So I got that slope, and absolutely brilliant. And they just climb up that and get on the sofa. And I've got one upstairs as well for the bed, and it's absolutely brilliant for that. I do find sometimes within that, towards the end of the evening, like when it's time to go up to bed, he's just tired, and he sort of looks at me like I'm tired, and I'll carry him up the stairs, and that's really easy because he's so small. Great. Do any of you have big dogs that you can't carry up the stairs, and for whatever reason they struggle with the stairs? And what are you doing about that? Because I asked this before, and someone told me that what they do is they've got put a stair lift in, but rather than having the chair that you would normally have, it's just like a flat base, and their dog sits on that and then goes up the stairs. But I just wondered what are you doing if you've got a big dog that can't get up the stairs anymore, and you can't carry him because he's too big? I just wondered what are you doing about that. I'd be really interested to know. Let me go and show you their bed. Albert is also my little guard dog. He sits on the back of this sofa and he's my little guard dog, but he's very good. When I tell him to stop barking, he stops barking. If you wondered about his face, actually, I'll talk about his face in a minute. Let me just carry on and show you these beds. This is another one of those situations that I think applies to all dogs, but, you know, especially if you've got an old dog. But it applies to puppies as well because of their joints. I just think it applies to all dogs. I always make sure they've got a really good bed. So you see here, this bed is off the floor. You see how thick that is. It's really squishy. Like, that's squishy, but it's thick and it's squishy. Often dog beds look squishy. When you actually get them, they're not squishy. And if you can stand on them and feel the floor, that's what's happening to your dog. And so that can cause problems with joints and stiffness. And it's just cold and horrible. Now, this bed was a special treat for them for Christmas. This is big. All three of them can get on that. But this just is in my kitchen. So it's not something they sleep on. They kind of just are on it while I'm in the kitchen. But let me show you. And that did cost. I think we paid £200 for that. So it's very expensive. But it was a Christmas present to them all. But let me show you what I did for free. So ideally, I would have liked to have had all of those posh beds up here because they all sleep up here. And they can sleep in our bed, but they tend to sleep on the landing. And what I did was, because I couldn't afford to get like 3 of those beds for them to sleep on at night. So somebody was giving away a sofa, and so I took all the cushions off it. And you see how thick that is? That makes a lovely bed, and you see how big it is. So it's big enough for even Humps, who's quite big. I took all 4 of the cushions, I put them in a big row on my landing for them all to sleep on. Big squishy blanket. If you've got a dog bed that isn't very thick and you want to make it thicker, another cheap way to do it is to just go to like a pound shop, buy a packet of pillows and bulk the bed up with that, and that works really well. But what I always do, the test for me is, if I stand on a bed and I can feel the floor, then that is not good enough for my dogs. Something else that I am aware of is that I move my furniture around quite a lot, as you will have noticed if you watch my videos regularly. And so I've kind of got to the point now where I'm like, well, no more. That I can't really keep doing that because they're getting older now and their eyesight does go a bit. And Albert over there, his eyesight, it's been going for about he's actually nearly 11. I'd say the last couple of years it's been going. And how I know that is that if he sees a cat, he gets very excited, because we used to have a cat and they were best friends. Fortunately, she's no longer with us. But he used to, so if he sees a cat, he gets very excited, especially if they're black and white. But now he thinks that magpies are cats, even if they're flying or they're on the roof. And if he sees a cat that's on a roof, not a cat that's on a roof, a magpie that's on a roof, he thinks it's flying cats. And so I know his eyesight is going. And so because of that, I'm not moving furniture around as much. Hearing is another thing that can go, but I've not noticed that with him at all. I think what is an important thing to make is that you can't judge one dog by other dogs. I know other dogs I've had that have been 10, and they're nowhere near. He really is quite active and quite a sprightly little thing, even though you really wouldn't believe it from my videos. But he really is, and he's still very inquisitive and that. But I know other dogs who are his age, and they're nothing like that. They're slow, they're really quite ill. It's really quite sad to see. So not all dogs are going to be the same, but this is just my experience of living with a 10-year-old. Like I said earlier, he is sleeping more. And I think it's really, again, this applies to all dogs, all of my dogs, no matter what age they are. When it's time for them to have a sleep, they have peace and quiet and they're not disturbed. They're allowed their time to sleep. Especially puppies, incredibly important. But when I've had puppies, and it's time for them to sleep, they sleep, no one disturbs them. And with all dogs, I think it's absolutely critical that when they're sleeping, they're not disturbed. I think it's really important. Sleep is so important to dogs. I don't think it's talked about enough how important sleep is to a dog. So you see my videos, you know how it works. During the day it's just me here. so they do get to just sleep all day and be rested and relaxed. But with older dogs, I think it's so important that they've got their own space, they're given peace and quiet. So if you've got children or grandchildren or whoever, it's vital that they're not allowed to disturb the dog. And that goes for all dogs, because it's so, to wake a sleeping dog is just so dangerous if you're a child, because you just, it's just, again, Google it, Google dog attacks. It's so on children, it happens so often because the child woke the dog up. So it's really important that when dogs are older, that they're given peace and quiet, but throughout their whole life. When it's time for a dog to sleep, let them just sleep. I know me personally, if I was trying to sleep and things were irritating me, I would be ratty. I do get ratty. If I want to sleep and something is irritating me, I do get ratty, and I don't bite, but it's just something that I make sure that they have their sleep, and that little Albert gets plenty of sleep. Okay, so one thing about Albert is, as he's got older, he's looking tattier and tattier. I always go on about he looks like my homeless boy. Even though he has the most grooming, I spend the most time grooming him, and a lot of that is because he's a Bichon, and Bichons need ridiculous amounts of grooming. But he always looks homeless. It doesn't really matter what I do. He just looks homeless all the time. He has, right now, he is a Bichon, Frise, and they have what's called Bichon lumps. It's basically just, they just get these lumps over their body. So obviously the older they get, the more and more lumps they're going to get, and the bigger those lumps get. So I keep a close eye on those lumps. He had to have a vet checkup. But I hate vets, let's just put it bluntly. I hate them. I think they're money grabbing people who don't care about animals, and they're uneducated. They annoy me, and so I take my dog there very, very rarely. But he did have to go because we moved into this area 3 years ago, and so I do want them registered at a vet. As much as I dislike them, I do want them registered at a vet in case I have a real emergency when I need it. And because we were registered at a new vet, he did have to go for a checkup. That's just the rule. And I got them to look at the lumps. Not that I would really trust anything they said, and that they were happy with them all. But I keep a close eye on them and make sure that I'm happy with them. Sometimes he does catch them if he's scratching, and they might bleed. So I just clean them up with Hibiscrub, which is ideal for cleaning any wound or anything like that in a dog. Excellent for cleaning up hot spots. And then I put cream on it. So there's that. His face. Now I'm doing a little experiment at the moment. So up till now, well, up to a little while ago, I was feeding them half home cooked food and half a grain-free, good quality, wet dog food. But I've recently switched that, and I'm not feeding them any dog food or any treats or anything. Everything now is completely home cooked. And he gets, you know how Bichon, if you know about Bichons, you know, or a lot of white dogs actually, they get like staining around their eyes and their mouth, and it's like a reddish brownish colour, basically anywhere they lick. So if they lick their paws, they get it, and it's bacteria. So I am, with my little experiment, I've noticed that I think, you can't really see it in that position, but I think under his chin, which generally looks quite manky most of the time, it isn't, it's clean. I clean it every morning, but it is stained. But I think since I switched him to 100% home cooked, I think it's really, really clearing up. And so I'm going to be very interested to see that as time goes on, where they are on 100% home cooked food, 100% home cooked treats. I'm going to be very interested to see if that staining clears up on his chin. And the other thing is that, and again, this could just be an Albert thing, his pads, his paw pads, I've noticed they get quite dry. And so after our walks, so when we get back from our walks, so at the moment, because it's hay fever season, I give them a wipe down with a flannel, some warm water and a flannel. Then I brush him all through, and then I check lumps, see if anything needs to be cleaned. And then I put cream on his pads, paw pads, loads of it, really rub it in. And I don't have to do that with my other dogs. They don't need it. I've never had another dog, and I've had a lot of dogs, I've never had a dog that I've had to do it with. He's the only one who needs it as much. In the evenings, we have a little routine in the evenings where we brush their teeth and whatnot. Oh, actually, that's the point. I need to talk to you about teeth. They're not on my list. I need to talk to you about them. And while we're going through that routine, all of our dogs have their paw pads moisturised. But little Albert, he has them done twice a day. Let me talk about teeth, because I haven't written that on my list. I don't want to forget it. His teeth are really, really good. All his teeth are really good. No problems with that. They are brushed every day in the evening before they go to bed. And I've done a whole video about it, brushing a dog's teeth, how to get them used to it. I recorded as we were brushing their teeth. If you go to dog grooming, go to playlist, go to dog grooming, the video's in there. I might stick that up at the end. It depends which video I think is most important to go up at the end, but that might be it. But if not, go to playlist, go to dog grooming, and then cleaning dog's teeth is in there. Keeping their, it's the same all along. If you keep a dog's teeth from the beginning, you're going to be a lot better off. And be aware that vets love taking dogs in to clean their teeth. They just love it. When we had that checkup I was talking about, so I said we had to go for the checkup because we moved to a new area, and they were all checked up, and the vet said, yeah, all three of them need to come in and have their teeth cleaned. And I said, that is really surprising to me, because I brush their teeth every day and have done, as long as I've ever had them. I said, that's really quite surprising. The second he realised, and that's probably the first time I really opened my mouth during the whole consultation, because I can't be trusted, and he looked at me and I saw the look. And the look is, and I get this from vets, I get this look like, oh, she's one of those. And what they mean by one of those is, they mean she's an experienced dog owner. She's had dogs for many, many years. I rescue dogs, so all sorts of problems come at me. And he just backed right down and went, oh yeah, you're right, I don't need doing. So he just lied. He just straight out made that up. And then as soon as he realised, and he just dropped it. And he was going on about Albert's front teeth and he doing. And then as soon as I said it, he just dropped it and was like, okay. And then he went through it. He did still go on, though, to send us through an invoice to see if we would like to take Harry in. And it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And I didn't for a second believe his teeth needed doing. And I wasn't just being stupid about that. I know what tartar looks like on a dog's teeth. He didn't have it because I really work hard at brushing their teeth. Yeah, so just watch out for that. And also, the sales calls that I got after that. Oh, I'm on one now, I tell you, we started about the vets, I'm on one now. The sales calls I got, it was like being, hounded by double glazing salesmen. They kept calling me about it. And it was really bad. So just be aware that vets love to get dogs in to have their teeth cleaned. So take charge of that situation and brush their teeth. The other thing is that little Albert's nails, I think they're getting thicker as he's getting older, and they need cutting more often. So we groom our own dogs. So rather than just do like once a month a big groom, every Friday we just do a little groom on them all. And his nails have always needed cutting more than the other dogs, and I put that down to the fact that he's small and he's light, because Humps here, his nails don't ever need doing. They just go down on their own from walking. And Harry here, his nails do sometimes need clipping, but on the whole, he just walking does it. And I know when I've had bigger dogs, like I've had some giant German Shepherds, their nails have never needed doing because they just worn them down from walking. But with little Albert, we do have to do his nails. So every week, just give him a quick clip, and they're getting thicker. So that's something to really be aware of, because you might have had it where you haven't really had to clip their nails up to this point, but that could be changing. I heard a horrible story about a lady who had a dog, and she kept saying to me, this wasn't online, this was a person I kept seeing, and she kept saying to me, he's so badly, like his leg is so badly crippled. And she was asking me about arthritis and all of that, and so I was telling her about what I've done with Humps and how we stopped his arthritis and all of that. And then she said to me, actually it wasn't that. What it was the nail had gone all the way round and gone back into the pad, and that is why he was walking funny. So that must have been excruciatingly painful for him and probably got infected. So yeah, so just be aware of that. I want to talk to you about supplements now, because these are very important. So let me take you into the kitchen. If you are a regular subscriber, you will be so sick of seeing the inside of my supplement cupboard, but it's so important to anybody watching it that hasn't seen it before. When a dog becomes 8 years old, technically they're then a senior. And if you put them on a senior dog food, that dog food contains some of the things I'm about to show you. I'll tell you which ones it does and which ones it doesn't. So as I said, I've changed, for about, I don't even know, maybe the last 10 years, I've been half cooking my own food for my dogs and half giving them dog food. And I've switched that now. I'm 100%. I'm actually training to be a dog nutritionist. And as with my training, I've just dropped dog food altogether. And I feed them all home cooked food. So this is some of the stuff that I add. So coconut oil I add. Now I actually add that for skin purposes. It's really good for just keeping their skin nice and moist. However, you do have to be aware that it's a fat. And so I don't give it to my 2 other dogs because one of them's a Corgi mix and one of them is a King Charles Spaniel mix, and they both very susceptible to putting on weight, and they do very quickly can put on weight. So I only actually give this organic coconut oil, and I get them on off Amazon. All of the stuff I use is in the description, but I get that off Amazon. I can get it cheaper off Amazon, but you can just get it when you go food shopping in the baking aisle. Coconut oil, and I just give him a little spoon of that every day. I give him a spoon with each meal, but not a heap spoon, just a tiny little spoon, just a little bit, twice a day, just to help their skin be nice and moisturised. Now turmeric. So I've been giving them turmeric. I've give older dogs turmeric, and I've changed what I do. So what I've been doing is I've been giving them this one. This one in particular, I mean, it's just the one I use. I'm not vouching for it in particular. But you do need it to have the black pepper because the black pepper activates the turmeric. However, what I'm doing is I'm switching to this, and I've just bought, again off Amazon, I just bought a bag of turmeric and a bag of black pepper. I've taken the amounts off the back of that packet and I've Googled it extensively. And so what I'm actually switching to is just going to I've bought some little scientific scoops, and I'm just going to switched just to give them this, because although this has been very, very good, I'm not saying it hasn't been very good, it's worked very well. I don't know what fillers and rubbish are in those, so you know, it's just something I'm personally doing. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but the next video should be a video talking all about the benefits of turmeric. It's so good, but the main thing that it does is it takes down inflammation. So if your dogs are getting older and they're getting any joint problems, then it's going to take down that inflammation. And I just think turmeric for all dogs is so good, because inflammation does nothing but harm to a dog, or us for that matter. And so turmeric is important. Now, if you'll very rarely get turmeric in a dog food, and it's not something that's standard in a senior food. You will sometimes get it, but it's not standard. But in this, right, so this situation here, so I use Yumove Joint Care for this. And the supplements that I want out of that are glucosamine, green-lit mussel, and hyaluronic acid. Now, glucosamine and green-lit mussel you'll find them in senior dog food. Not necessarily to the right amount that you want it, but you will see them. That's kind of what makes a difference with a senior dog food. But you'll very rarely see the hyaluronic acid in it. And the hyaluronic acid is really, really important for arthritis. If you haven't seen it, go and watch my series on arthritis. It was incredible what I achieved with Humps, and I had to do it all naturally because he can't take anything from the vets. He was sicking it all back up. So they are the three things. So glucosamine and green-lit mussel are the two that I was giving Albert glucosamine, green-lit mussel before Humps came. Then when Humps came, I added the hyaluronic acid. This supplement has all three of them, so it was perfect. And it works very well. But again, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to switch, the same as I did with the turmeric. I'm going to actually break those 3 ingredients down, buy them, work out how much I need to give them. But that's in the future, and I'll talk to you more about that. Salmon oil, again, it's vital for everything. Mainly the omega-6 in it. Dogs need omega-6, and so that's important. But also it's very good for joints, for lubricating joints, and also for skin. And so all of my boys, so I hand feed them, and that is a very thought out recipe that I use for that. you know, what I did was, so like I said, I'm studying to be a dog nutritionist, and part of the course is that you get a list of all of the vitamins they need and all the minerals they need. Surprisingly long list. And so I just Googled every single vitamin, every single mineral, what food contains, and made sure it was a food that dogs can eat, because dogs can't eat all food. And I just made sure, and I looked at the amounts that's needed, and I did the ratios, and I just worked it all out. So they're fed that. But the pink salmon, so I do feed them salmon, not tinned salmon because it's too oily. I feed them frozen salmon, some on as part of their recipe. But what I do with this is, because tinned salmon holds the oil, and that's what you want. So I just give them a spoonful of that every morning. So they get one spoonful of that every morning. And again, it's really, really good for dogs. So that's all the supplements that I add to their food. I mean, I do add other supplements to their food, like calcium and stuff like that. But that's just, all dogs should have that. But the turmeric, the glucosamine, the green mussel and the salmon oil and the coconut oil are the ones that I would add to older dogs. And remember, if you do decide to do the turmeric on your own, you need black pepper, because you need to activate the turmeric. The black pepper activates the turmeric. But I'm going to do a more detailed video going into all of that, the amounts and everything that you need. So that's it, my little Albert, 10 years old. He's actually so close to 11. He's going to be 11 next month. I've had him since he was 4 weeks old, because obviously that is way too young to have a puppy. But it was an abuse case, and through a rescue centre and everything. And yeah, I've had him since he was 4 weeks old. I had him before he even had any teeth. So yeah, I know him very, very well. So that's it, that's the video for today. So if you've got any questions about anything, just pop them into comments. Like I said, I've listed the stuff that I use for my dogs in the description, Instagram and on TikTok. And yeah, you know, you can contact me, but don't hesitate. If you're wondering about something, don't hesitate, just ask me. And if I know the answer, I will help you. So thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.